"You thought you could play me for a fool," Jelani Okoye whispered, her voice steady with quiet triumph. "But the ghost always sees." She stood in the hospital corridor, her lips curling into a subtle smile as she watched Oliver Harris and Fiona Whitaker, writhing in humiliation on an emergency stretcher, fused by her calculated trap. Where are you listening from, dear audience? Atlanta, Charlotte, or perhaps halfway across the globe? What do you think happens when a betrayed woman turns the tables with a fortune no one suspects? This is a story of cunning, betrayal, and justice, woven with precision. Will Jelani's plan unravel her deceivers, or will they strike back? Subscribe to our channel for the latest gripping tales and share in the comments where you're tuning in from. Let's see how far this story travels. Stay curious, because the truth is never what it seems. Jelani Okoye moved through the pre-dawn streets of Charlotte, her sanitation truck rumbling like a loyal beast, its headlights cutting through the fog. At 36, she had spent a decade hauling the city's refuse, her hands steady on the wheel, her mind sharp despite the monotony. Beneath her unassuming life as a sanitation worker lay a secret that could upend her world. A cryptocurrency portfolio, meticulously built since 2014, now worth over $4 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum. She'd never spoken of it, not even to Oliver Harris, her husband of 8 years, whose charm and ambition had once drawn her like a moth to flame. Their marriage, once a tapestry of shared laughter and late-night dreams, had frayed, strained by Oliver's growing disdain for her unglamorous job. As she pulled the truck into the depot, her phone buzzed with a message from Oliver. "Big gala tonight at the hotel. You don't have to come. It's not really your crowd." Jelani's jaw tightened, but she typed back, "I'll be there," her resolve hardening like steel. The gala, hosted by Oliver's company in uptown Charlotte, glittered with the polish of the hospitality elite, chandeliers casting light over tailored suits and sequined dresses. Jelani arrived in a simple black dress, her elegance understated yet undeniable, though Oliver's glance suggested she was out of place. He moved through the crowd with practiced ease, his smile wide as he shook hands and traded compliments. Jelani lingered near a marble pillar, her eyes tracking Fiona Whitaker, a white event planner whose laughter rang like a bell, drawing eyes and egos alike. Fiona's hand brushed Oliver's arm as they spoke, her fingers lingering a fraction too long, and Jelani's stomach twisted, not with jealousy, but with a soldier's instinct for patterns. When Oliver leaned in to whisper something to Fiona, their heads close, Jelani caught the flicker of a shared secret in their eyes. "Just networking," Oliver had said when she asked about Fiona earlier, but the word felt hollow now, like a promise made to be broken. Jelani sipped her water, her calm exterior masking the calculations forming in her mind. As the night wore on, the gala became a stage for performance, influencers posing for photos, their ring lights casting artificial glows. Jelani observed Oliver and Fiona, their interactions a choreography of subtle touches and knowing glances. When a colleague approached, their conversation halted, Fiona's smile tightening as she adjusted her posture. Jelani moved closer, her steps silent, her presence unnoticed, as if she were invisible, a ghost in their glittering world. "You're doing great, babe," Oliver said when he finally noticed her, his tone patronizing. "But you don't have to stay. It's late." Jelani met his gaze, her voice even. "I'm fine here, Oliver. I want to support you." His smile faltered, and he turned back to Fiona, who was now charming a group of hotel investors. Jelani's eyes narrowed, noting how Fiona's laughter seemed to pull Oliver's attention like a magnet, her hand grazing his sleeve again. The seed of doubt, planted by their dismissiveness, began to sprout, its roots curling deep into Jelani's resolve. The gala's energy peaked as midnight approached, the air thick with champagne and ambition. Jelani stood near a buffet table, her plate untouched, her focus on Oliver, who was now deep in conversation with Fiona near the bar. Their heads were bent together, their laughter a private melody, and Jelani felt the weight of their exclusion like a physical blow. When the event began to wind down, Oliver approached, his tie slightly loosened. "I'm staying to help Fiona clean up," he said, his eyes avoiding hers. "The crew needs guidance." Jelani glanced at the pristine venue, the staff already wiping down tables with efficiency. "Clean up?" she asked, her voice soft but pointed. "It looks spotless." Oliver's jaw twitched, a flash of irritation crossing his face. "Don't make this weird, Jelani. It's just work." She nodded, her expression unreadable, but her mind catalogued every detail. The lie, the defensiveness, the way Fiona watched from across the room, her lips curved in a knowing smile. Jelani drove home alone, the city's skyline blurring past her windshield, her hands steady on the wheel despite the storm in her chest. She replayed the night, each moment a puzzle piece clicking into place. Oliver's dismissal, Fiona's familiarity, the way their worlds seemed to exclude her. In her army days, she had learned to trust but verify, a principle that had saved her more than once. As she pulled into their Dilworth driveway, the house dark except for a single porch light, she made a decision. She would not confront Oliver. Not yet. Instead, she would gather evidence, her soldier's discipline guiding her. In the quiet of their home, she sat at the kitchen table, her laptop open to a site selling discreet, voice-activated recorders. "Trust but verify," she whispered to herself, her finger hovering over the purchase button. The gala had been a spark, and now Jelani Okoye was ready to let it ignite. Jelani Okoye sat in the dim glow of her Dilworth kitchen, the voice-activated recorder she had ordered arriving in a plain package, its weight in her hands, a quiet promise of truth. Her army training had taught her patience, and though her heart ached from the suspicions planted at the gala, she moved with precision, testing the device's clarity in her sanitation truck during a lunch break. Satisfied with its crisp audio, she slipped into the bedroom while Oliver showered, his off-key humming masking her movements, and tucked the recorder behind their dresser, its presence as invisible as she felt in her own home. For 3 days, the device captured mundane exchanges, Oliver's complaints about work, her own measured responses. But on the 4th, when Oliver announced a client meeting at Fiona's loft, Jelani's pulse quickened. "Don't wait up," he said, kissing her cheek with practiced indifference, and she nodded, her face a mask, her mind already racing to the moment she would retrieve the truth. That night, after Oliver's car purred out of the driveway, Jelani lay in bed, her breathing steady, her eyes fixed on the ceiling, waiting for his return. Near midnight, the headlight swept across the curtains, and she closed her eyes, feigning sleep as he crept in, his cologne tinged with the unfamiliar floral note. The next morning, while Oliver left for a breakfast meeting in Uptown, Jelani retrieved the recorder, her fingers trembling not with fear but with anticipation, and played the audio in her truck's cab. Oliver's voice, low and intimate, crackled through. "Jelani's clueless, thinks I'm swamped with work. Poor thing hauling trash all day." Fiona's laugh followed, sharp and cutting. "She's like a ghost, Oliver, fading into the background while we plan our future with that inheritance." Jelani's grip tightened, her knuckles pale as they discussed siphoning her supposed wealth through a divorce, their mockery branding her the ghost in her own life. The betrayal, raw and deliberate, turned her pain into resolve, a fire kindling within her. The recordings were only the beginning, each word a nail in the coffin of her trust, but Jelani needed more to expose their scheme. While cleaning Oliver's car, a task he dismissed as her domain, she vacuumed the seats, her movements methodical, until her fingers brushed a crinkled condom wrapper beneath the passenger side. The discovery hit like a blade, its edges sharp with confirmation, yet she pocketed it without a sound, her face unreadable. At home, she found Oliver's gym bag, its contents spilling with casual arrogance, and spotted his bottle of lubricant, a tool of his deceit. With surgical precision, she emptied it, refilling it with medical-grade superglue, her hands steady as she resealed the cap, her plan taking shape. "You'll feel this, Oliver," she whispered, her voice a low vow, as she envisioned the chaos it would unleash. The wrapper, now evidence, joined her growing arsenal, stored in a locked drawer only she accessed. Jelani's next move required an ally, someone sharp enough to execute her vision without asking too many questions, and her thoughts turned to Amara Jones, a barista at her favorite Noda coffee shop. Amara, once a paralegal before financial ruin, had been quietly aided by Jelani, who paid her legal fees anonymously after overhearing her despair. Over a quiet coffee, the shop's espresso machine humming softly, Jelani leaned forward, her voice calm, but weighted. "I need your help with a community health initiative for Oliver's hotel network, fully legitimate, focused on men's wellness," she said, her eyes locking with Amara's. "I'll pay you $40,000 to coordinate it." Amara's brow furrowed, sensing the undercurrent, but she nodded. "What's the real goal here?" she asked, her voice cautious. Jelani's smile was measured, her words deliberate. "Accountability, Amara, nothing illegal, just truth." The deal was struck, their partnership a silent pact, as Jelani envisioned the trap tightening around Oliver and Fiona. The health initiative was Jelani's masterstroke, a public facade masking private justice, and she pitched it to Oliver over dinner, her tone earnest. "It's a men's wellness screening, great for your company's image," she said, watching his ego flare at the idea of publicity. "You'd fund this?" he asked, surprised, his fork pausing midair. "I've got savings," she lied, her cryptocurrency wealth a secret she guarded fiercely. "Maybe $25,000 to start." Oliver's eyes lit up, oblivious to her intent, and he agreed, already imagining the social media buzz. Jelani's heart raced, not with fear, but with clarity, as she saw the path ahead. Oliver and Fiona, drawn into her web, their arrogance blinding them to the consequences. She met Amara again, outlining the plan, legitimate tests, urgent results, a stage for exposure, her voice steady, her plan a chessboard where every move was hers. The recordings, the wrapper, the glue, and now Amara's role formed a mosaic of retribution, each piece crafted with the precision of a soldier who knew the cost of trust. Jelani Okoye stood in the shadows of the hotel conference center in uptown Charlotte, her eyes scanning the crowd as the men's wellness screening she had orchestrated unfolded with clinical precision. The room buzzed with hospitality professionals, their chatter a veneer over the tension she had seeded, and Oliver Harris, her unfaithful husband, stood at the forefront, basking in the event's publicity. Fiona Whitaker, ever the polished event planner, flitted among the guests, her smile a mask of confidence, unaware of the noose tightening around her. Jelani had funded the initiative through a shell company, her $25,000 investment ensuring a legitimate mobile lab service, which Amara Jones, her ally, coordinated with professional calm. The screenings, blood work, STI panels, metabolic profiles were thorough, designed to inspire trust, yet Jelani had instructed Amara to frame the results with urgency, a tactic to unsettle Oliver and Fiona. As participants cycled through, Oliver clapped a colleague's shoulder, boasting, "This is huge for the brand," while Fiona nodded, her eyes darting to him, oblivious to Jelani's discreet cameras hidden in the vents. Days later, Amara delivered the results in private consultations, her tone grave as she met Oliver in a sterile office, her clipboard a prop of authority. "Your tests show a concerning bacterial infection, treatable but requiring immediate partner notification," she told him, her voice steady, watching his confident facade crack. Fiona, in a separate meeting, received a similar report of a viral exposure, her hands trembling as she clutched the manila envelope. "I feel fine," Fiona protested, her voice sharp, but Amara's response was unyielding. These conditions can be asymptomatic, which is why contact tracing is critical. Jelani, monitoring Oliver's phone through shared software, watched their frantic texts flood in. Fiona's panic. "How did this happen?" And Oliver's reply, "We were careful, Jelani can't know." The trap was set, their fear a catalyst, and Jelani's pulse remained steady, her army-honed discipline guiding her as she prepared the next phase. She tipped local health bloggers anonymously, suggesting a potential health concern in the hospitality community. Her words vague but potent, stirring whispers that would soon amplify. That night, Oliver and Fiona, shaken by their results, retreated to Fiona's loft, their desperation driving them to seek comfort in each other, unaware of Jelani's earlier sabotage. In the privacy of Fiona's bedroom, they reached for Oliver's lubricant, now replaced with medical-grade super glue, and the consequences were immediate, their pained cries echoing as they realized their predicament. Emergency services arrived, paramedics suppressing laughter as they wheeled the pair, fused in agony, to an ambulance, the scene captured by a bystander's phone. Jelani, alerted by her private investigator, stood at a distance in the hospital corridor, her lips curling into a subtle smile as she whispered, "You thought you could play me for a fool, but the ghost always sees." The incident, leaked to a gossip blog via her anonymous tip, exploded online, the headline, "Hotel Manager's Sticky Situation," spreading like wildfire, each share a blow to Oliver and Fiona's carefully curated images. Jelani's satisfaction was quiet, her plan unfolding with the precision of a chess master. The public unraveling came at a follow-up transparency forum, which Jelani had proposed to Oliver as a chance to address community concerns, her suggestion laced with irony he failed to detect. The hotel conference room was packed. Clients, influencers, a local reporter Jelani had tipped, all drawn by the buzz of the health scare. Oliver stood at the podium, his tie askew, his voice faltering as he began, "We're here to clarify the screenings, no cause for alarm." Fiona, beside him, forced a smile, her eyes scanning the exits. Jelani, positioned near the sound system, activated the speakers, and Oliver's recorded voice filled the room. "Jelani's clueless, thinks I'm swamped with work." Fiona's followed. "She's like a ghost, fading while we plan our future." Gasps rippled through the crowd, phones rising like a digital forest, capturing every damning word. "This was recorded in my home, legally," Jelani said, stepping forward, her voice calm but cutting. "For transparency, isn't that what you wanted, Oliver?" The room's silence was electric, their betrayal exposed, their arrogance shattered in the glare of public scrutiny. The aftermath was swift, the recordings and the glue incident merging into a viral narrative that dismantled Oliver and Fiona's reputations. The reporter pressed Oliver what specific health concerns were found. But his vague response, "It's confidential," drew skeptical murmurs. Fiona, pale, stammered about privacy, but the crowd's questions grew sharper and their trust eroded. Online, the hospitality community buzzed with memes of the sticky situation, while health blogs amplified the need for accountability, their posts fueled by Jelani's anonymous tips. Oliver's hotel faced a PR crisis, clients pulling bookings, and Fiona's event planning contracts dried up. Her social media was flooded with accusations of deceit. Jelani watched from her truck, parked outside the hotel, her hands steady on the wheel, her heart unburdened. She had offered a stage, and they had performed their downfall, their own words and actions, the ropes that bound them. The trap had closed, and justice, cold and precise, had been served. Jelani Okoye stood in the sleek expanse of her new Noda loft, the walls adorned with vibrant murals that echoed Charlotte's artistic pulse, her hands unpacking boxes with a quiet rhythm that spoke of renewal. The divorce proceedings had been swift, her cryptocurrency wealth, $4 million amassed before her marriage to Oliver Harris, shielded by meticulous records, leaving Oliver with nothing but his debts. In the courtroom, Oliver and Fiona Whitaker had threatened to sue, accusing Jelani of sabotage with the superglue incident, but her attorney, Evelyn Carter, a titan in Charlotte's legal scene, presented the condom wrapper, private investigators' photos, and recordings as irrefutable evidence of their deceit. "Your claims are baseless," Evelyn had said, her voice cool, "and your attempt to defraud Mrs. Okoye's assets seals your fate." The judge dismissed their case, and Jelani walked away, her assets intact, her dignity restored. She dismantled her surveillance tools, the recorders and cameras now relics of a past she no longer needed, and settled into her loft, where sunlight streamed through tall windows, illuminating a future she would shape alone. The fallout for Oliver and Fiona was relentless, their reputations in tatters as the viral sticky situation meme outlived their careers, a public crucifixion Jelani had orchestrated without lifting a finger beyond her initial spark. Oliver's hotel, once a beacon of his ambition, faced a client exodus, and he was demoted to a desk job at a budget chain, his charm dulled by scrutiny. Fiona's event planning business collapsed, her social media accounts abandoned after sponsors fled, their trust eroded by her exposed duplicity. Jelani, however, found solace in her new life, her mornings spent running along the Noda streets, where artists waved and coffee shops hummed with familiarity. She met Amara Jones, her ally from the Wellness Initiative, at a soul food restaurant, the air thick with the scent of shrimp and grits. "Do you ever miss him?" Amara asked, her fork pausing over her plate. Jelani's gaze softened, her voice steady. "I miss the man I thought he was, but not the lie we lived." Amara nodded, her own dreams of law school now funded by Jelani's quiet generosity, a bond forged in trust. Jelani's mother visited from Raleigh, her presence a grounding force as they sat on the loft's balcony, sipping sweet tea while the city's skyline shimmered in the distance. "You've always been steady, Jelani," her mother said, her hands tracing the etchings on her glass. "Quiet doesn't mean weak. It means you see what others miss." Jelani smiled, her fingers brushing the rim of her cup, her heart lighter than it had been in years. She had invested in a local women's shelter, her wealth a tool for good, and sponsored Amara's law school tuition, a gesture that felt like planting seeds for a better world. The past, with its betrayal and pain, had folded itself neatly behind her, not erased but complete, a chapter closed by her own hand. She walked through Noda's galleries with Amara, their laughter mingling with the hum of street musicians, and felt a freedom she hadn't known since her army days, when every step was measured but purposeful. One evening, as leaves swirled down Edgewood Avenue in slow spirals, Jelani passed Oliver outside a budget hotel, his suit ill-fitting, his eyes hollow. Their gazes locked briefly, and he looked away first, a silent concession of defeat, his once confident stride reduced to a shuffle. Jelani felt no triumph, only confirmation, her heart unburdened by the need for revenge. She had held up a mirror, and Oliver and Fiona had written their own endings, their arrogance the architect of their fall. At dinner with Amara, the restaurant's warmth enveloping them, Amara asked, "Do you ever miss the adrenaline, the planning?" Jelani shook her head, her voice calm. "I miss the rhythm of my work, the truck's hum, the people who wave on my route." Amara smiled, her own future brightening, and they toasted to new beginnings, their glasses clinking in quiet celebration. Jelani's life, once shadowed by betrayal, was now a canvas of her own making, each choice a brushstroke of resilience. In the quiet of her loft, Jelani stood at her window, the city's lights a constellation of possibilities, her reflection steady in the glass. She thought of the insult, the ghost, and how it had once stung, but now it felt like a badge, a testament to her unseen strength. Her hands, once gripped tight around a steering wheel or a recorder, now rested lightly on the sill, her heart at peace. She had offered truth, and the truth had undone what needed undoing, leaving her free to build anew. As she poured a glass of wine for a dinner with Amara the next evening, she smiled, the past a distant echo, the future a melody she would compose. Jelani Okoye was no ghost. She was a foundation built on quiet resolve, and the world, once indifferent, now bent to her will, its doors open to a woman who had reclaimed her story. What did you think of Jelani's journey, from uncovering betrayal to reclaiming her strength in the silent strike? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below sharing what resonated with you or how you'd navigate such a tale of deception and justice. If this story gripped you, subscribe to our channel to catch every new tale we weave, and let us know where you're tuning in from to join our global community. Your support fuels these stories, and we're grateful for every view, comment, and share. Thank you for being here, and we can't wait to meet you again in the next powerful chapter. Stay curious, stay engaged, and see you soon.